Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Cobb of Z Health Performance. Today we're going to be talking about what's called sensory reweighting in order to improve balance very quickly. Now, if you are new to Z Health, we are a brain-based education company. Our focus is working with doctors, coaches, and therapists around the world who are interested in using cutting-edge neuroscience in their movement practices. If that's you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out our free resources. The last couple of weeks I've been talking about balance. Talked about in the United States that September is our fall prevention month, and that we take this very, very seriously. It's the second leading cause of death worldwide. And so we want to make sure that our clients are very resilient and able to maintain balance in every situation whenever, physically possible. Now, obviously, if the ground falls away from you, sometimes you just have to know how to fall, and we need to talk about that later. Today, we want to get into different ideas about how do I actually increase the challenge of the balance work that I'm already doing, because for many people, let's say your primary client base is 25 to 45 years old, you don't work a lot with elderly clients, and their balance is generally okay. Well, it doesn't mean that they don't need balance work, because in most cases, whenever we improve the balance systems, other areas of performance will also be enhanced to a certain degree. But the issue that we often run into is that people are like, well, I'm getting a little bored, because I'm doing all this stuff and it's hard, but it's not maybe as exciting as putting another plate on a bar. So the question is, how do we actually make this challenging enough that the clients enjoy it and that the brain responds to it by going through an adaptive process? So in this video, what I want to talk about is what's called sensory reweighting. And this is something we see a lot in the research, and it is a cool sciencey name given to something that movement professionals and movement explorers have been doing probably as long as humans have been practicing movement. And the idea here is that if I take away one sense, I will cause my brain to become more reliant on information using a different sense. So when it comes to moving through the world, our balance systems, we need our eyes, we need our inner ear, we need our auditory system, we need what's called our proprioceptive system, we need our sensory systems. So obviously, if I want to improve my ability to, let's say, move through a crowded environment where I'm having to step over different objects, etc., then I might need my brain to give more attention to my feet than to my eyes, let's say, because let's say maybe it's a dim environment, I can't see as well, so I need to know precisely where my feet, knees, and hips are in space. Well, the way that we do this is very simple. It just involves using equipment or tools to reduce the amount of input coming in from a given sense. If you go back to our previous videos, we talked a lot about doing smooth pursuits, saccades, and then what we call vestibulo-ocular reflex drills, moving the head while keeping the eyes still. So what I would suggest that you do is go back to those same exercises. And remember, we talked about using different stances, a single leg stance, tandem stance, things like this, and try those, see how you're performing, go to the hardest version that you can, and then we're gonna start taking away senses. All that you really need for this is maybe, some headphones. These are like, construction headphones. Throw these on, and now, I can't even hear myself speak. All of a sudden, I can't hear anything. Once you have reduced the amount of auditory information that you're receiving, then go through the same exercises again. Maybe include a little bit of walking forward and walking backward. What you'll find is that the simple reduction of any incoming sense that you typically rely on will upregulate other senses. So the ones that we tend to focus on in Z Health, we like to reduce auditory input. We use earphones or earplugs. We also like to reduce visual input. Now, I say reduce visual input. That does not mean eliminate it completely. So yes, you can do blindfold work. And in fact, my earliest introductions to sensory reweighting, although no one knew that cool sciencey name, was back when I was 11, 12 years old. One of my original martial arts instructors, every month we would go meet to train somewhere at the park or at the beach, because he always felt like getting us out into a different environment, grass, sand, and even in the water, practicing moving people and throwing would enhance our skills because it was changing the sensory stuff that we were receiving. Now, he didn't have any science background. He just knew that he did that with people, they improved. And as an athlete, it was something that you could actually notice, that the more you did that, the more adaptive and resilient your balance became in more situations. So we're just trying to emulate that in a practical way in a clinical or gym setting. So we did also a lot of times blindfold work. I'd be grappling, we'd throw a blindfold on, and he would make us work with opponents without using our visual system. And again, it would make your hands become eyes, where you could start to feel and maybe even see what people were doing by using your hands. This is, again, just a basic brain process. So for balance, What has been shown in the research is that the use of what are called strobe goggles or strobe lighting is incredibly effective. In Z Health, we work with a company called Synaptech. They make goggles. You can turn them on and basically they will blink where your vision will be occluded and then it will open up. You can set different speeds, one eye, the other eye, different portions of the visual system. They're super cool goggles, but in terms of balance training, they are incredibly effective. There was a great research study. They were having young people, not compromised people or older people right now, but young people walking on a treadmill. The treadmill actually had a very small balance beam built into it, a flexible fabric, and they had to walk on that balance beam. They took one group and they had them just practice walking on it. They took the other group and they had them walk on it, but they used the strobe goggles so that periodically as they were walking, the strobes would come on and they would not be able to see. At the end of the training session, the group that just practiced improved by about 20–21%. The group that was using the strobe goggles improved over 70% in the number of falls they had off that beam. So what they postulated in this paper, again, was that the intermittent visual occlusion had a strong sense reweighting aspect to it, which made the brain pay more attention to what was going on in the feet and the rest of the body, which is what we need sometimes whenever we are trying to improve balance in the real world. So again, you'll go back to some of our previous videos. You will throw on headphones. You will go through all the different exercises and just notice what changes. Then if you are able to, use goggles or just have someone literally flip the light switch on and off in the room, like that's the old school version of doing this, and it's way cheaper. You can actually spend 5 minutes or so just doing that and you will be, I think, dramatically surprised over a few weeks, that type of practice of how powerfully it will impact your balance by, again, sensory reweighting, getting the brain to pay attention to signals that we typically ignore. All right, give this a shot. Hope you find it really useful.